Well, I would actually welcome those that said that just to come on and join me for a week or a day. I think I've kept up very well with things, and it has caused some adjustments. It's a statewide campaign. First of all, Andrew Cuomo has been very good at not overloading me with things, realizing that my duties here are very time-consuming. I've traveled a little bit. I've only actually been away overnight during the week one time, for one trip going back to May. It has consisted of intermittent trips. It could be in the morning or an afternoon or an evening or on weekends, where sometimes I'll be asked to go. It's added to my personal schedule. I think if anyone were to feel shortchanged, it might be my family from time to time, and my wife has been terrific, but it's caused certainly an addition to workload demands. But I'll say today what I said back then: I have never once shirked my duties here. I have a great team and a great staff. I delegate very well, but I have not in any way set aside my work here. What I have done, I don't mind saying this, there are a lot of public events that I've chosen not to do, not for a lack of interest or support, but I did not want to be perceived as using my job here for campaign purposes. So I've been very self-conscious about that. So if people say they don't see me at certain things, in many cases, it's not because I'm not in town. It's because that I've decided not to go to certain public events to be seen as a campaigning mayor. I don't want to do that. I ran a half marathon yesterday and with a baseball hat and sunglasses on, but I participate in a lot of things that I normally do. I'm pretty on point in terms of not wanting to use my position for other purposes. When I'm campaigning, I'm campaigning. I always try and differentiate the two.
Just this past weekend, the Working Families Party endorsed Cuomo, and it's caused a firestorm of criticism from conservatives, the GOP, New Yorkers for Growth. How do you feel about that criticism?
Well, I've had many discussions with the Attorney General on this issue, and I think one thing has to be clear. Andrew Cuomo did not change his focus, his agenda, what he wanted to accomplish to get an endorsement. He made it very clear from the beginning of the campaign that whoever signed on to support his campaign for reform, he would welcome. Apparently the Working Families Party have done that, and there was not any other discussions. Andrew Cuomo did not give in to his principles at all. He did not concede. The Working Families Party apparently made a decision. I read about that this morning. I think they put a release out. Certainly knew it might be coming. But the good thing is you have people that have said, you know what, we do have to change, perhaps, and we will look at a change and accept Andrew's agenda and Andrew's whole campaign for reform. And the one thing that Andrew has said consistently is everybody has to come to the middle of the table. You can't sit back and dig your feet in and expect to have things happen the way they have. The state is effectively bankrupt. It is a state that has severe financial constraints. You cannot put tax burdens on people's backs and add to their already deep financial burdens. And so his message of reform is one that has resonated with people. But if anything, for the critics of Andrew Cuomo, I would say you can't criticize Andrew for this. He did not give 1 inch on his priorities. I would credit the Working Families Party, which I have never had their endorsement before, but I will tell you this, I would credit them for saying and realizing perhaps we have to change. We have to come to that middle of the table and meet the Attorney General in the middle and look at what we can do differently to help restore New York. So I think it's kudos to Andrew Cuomo on that, and I certainly appreciate him not budging from these priorities. And I don't mind closing and saying this. I've had this discussion with Andrew. I think he was dead on to say he would not accept it unless WFP signed on to endorse his platform, and what I read this morning, they have.
Published reports suggest Republican comptroller candidate Harry Wilson might endorse you and Andrew Cuomo. Do you think your ticket should consider endorsing him?
Well, at this point here, I would not talk about endorsements for anybody, especially cross endorsements. Those are decisions that get made by others and often by heads of parties. In this particular case, we are running our campaign. I am not the least bit concerned about the primary results on the Republican side. We'll find out tomorrow night who our opponents will be. And I'm not sure that will be verified or etched in stone, because I've heard both opponents say that they're going to stay in no matter what. But at least it will clarify, who the opponents will be. And most importantly, I have to say this from my opinion, it really doesn't matter. We are going to run our campaign. Andrew Cuomo is working very hard. I believe I am too. The thing that really drives me is when you look at the opportunity for change in this state, and there's great opportunity for what can be done differently to change the economic structures, to change the outcomes. I would say this: whoever runs, it really is immaterial to me. There is nobody in this race that has the agenda, that has the leadership, that has the background and the ability to change the state more than Andrew Cuomo does. So whoever wins those races, I look forward to the campaign ahead, but he clearly, to me, is the best person for this job, whatever party people are thinking of voting for.
So what's the reason that you or Andrew Cuomo haven't endorsed Denali yet?
Well, I think in terms of the primary, they're waiting for the primaries to end for those that have primary opponents. I would defer that question. What I am involved with now, we have a campaign that it's not just my campaign, it's us collectively. And I don't think there is anything to be drawn from this. I've heard the Attorney General speak very positively about Mr. DiNapoli in the past. I know the controller certainly has been in Rochester. I would not read anything into it. I think endorsements come at different times, and right now we're still in primary season. I think the real season starts after tomorrow, between then and November 2nd, and I just would defer and wait to that point. And I think you'll see much clearer steps ahead during that time. I also would say, from my perspective, when I came down to endorsing people as mayor, you can endorse early on in a campaign, it doesn't have much impact. I think when you choose to endorse later on, it does have an impact, because when campaigns start, most people don't care about those campaigns. They're enjoying their summers with their families. They're out enjoying vacation, the weather. Now is when I think the election season really begins. So, post-primary to election day is when you'll see things happen. So I would not in any way read into this that it's either a positive or a negative. I think it's just a matter of it's the time.
Carl Palladino picking up a lot of endorsements. I don't know if you saw the recent New York Times article that called him dangerous. Any comment on that?
No, I think that people campaign and certainly talk about what they believe in. I find that if you stay focused on what your agenda is and not worry about the competition or react to that, we just stay on point. Andrew has never deviated once from his views and platform and his whole movement for reform. And it really makes no difference what opponents say or do. I think we are working very, very hard to convince New Yorkers that Andrew Cuomo is in the best position of anyone to lead this state in the future, and I believe that in my heart. Otherwise, I would not be in this position. And during campaigns, people say things that certainly are great theater and make great headlines, but in the end, it does nothing to help govern New York. And the problems that we face in the state won't be dealt with catchphrases and comments being made. It takes leadership, it takes management, it takes a process, it takes guts, and it takes collaboration and teamwork to change what the state we're in right now. And so I'll leave all the campaign talk to campaigns. We're going to work hard to hopefully get elected November 2nd and then be part of this big reform in New York State.
Would you consider a debate?
I don't think in my career I've ever shied away from anything. When I ran for mayor in 2005, I think if my math serves me correctly, there were 104 forums, debates, or public question and answer periods. If I missed one, it was a lot. So I've never had any issue whatsoever facing anybody for what I believe in. But in a campaign, You know, as a lieutenant governor candidate, I don't think I would be the primary focus of that exchange. I certainly understand my role. If that question comes up, I look forward to a response at that time. Nobody has asked me yet, so I've not had any responses, but or any questions relative to that. But I have never shied away from facing people who I'd be running against, listening to them respectfully, but stating where I stand. And I have not been shy as mayor. I wouldn't be shy in any other role in the future, and look forward to those opportunities, but they have not even surfaced yet.